flames devour a temple. Smoke coils into the summer sky. Inside, the most feared man in Japan sits in silence. His retainers are dead, his armies scattered. He was meant to march on the capital. Instead, he has been betrayed, cornered by his own general. A lifetime of conquest, of blood, of genius has led to this single, fateful moment. His name? Oda Nobunaga, the man they call the Demon King. And here, in a burning temple, his empire of ambition comes crashing down. Tonight, we descend into the firestorm of Japan's warring states, a world of warlords and warrior monks, of castles drowned in blood and villages turned to ash. Into the mind of a man who rose from reckless youth to become the Demon King of Japan. A visionary, a butcher, a ruler who bent the age of the sword into the age of the gun. I'm Adrian Locke, and this is Shadows of Power. (1534). Central Japan, Owari Province. A flat country of rice and reeds, threaded by rivers, penciled with dikes and dusty roads, crowned here and there by squat hilltop forts, timber palisades biting into the sky like broken teeth. This is the Sengoku Jidai, the age of warring states. A century-long knife fight conducted in lacquered armor. Borders change with the weather. Daimyo measure their fortunes not with coins, but with koku, bushels of rice that feed armies. Castles burn, peasants flee. Even the gods seem tired. And into all this chaos, a boy is born. He will become the most feared man in the land. He will be called the Demon King. But for now, he is just Oda Nobunaga. Owari sits like a hinge on the Tokaido Road, the artery connecting imperial Kyoto to the warlord domains of the east. Control this road, and you control the traffic of rice, silk, salt, weapons, and gossip. The Oda clan controls a sliver of it. Enough to matter, not enough to be safe. To the east loom the Imagawa, a rich and disciplined machine pushing toward Kyoto. To the north, the coiled Saito of Mino, den of the viper, Saito Dosan. Beyond the mountains prowl legends in waiting, Takeda Shingen, Uesugi Kenshin, names that will ring like steel in the years to come. Here in Owari, the Oda are not the hunters. They are the prey that learn to bare its teeth.
Nobunaga inherits a patchwork. The Oda are split into branches, each with its own retainers, grudges, and ledgers. The domain is valuable because of the road, but vulnerable because everyone wants it. Any misstep, any sign of weakness, and the neighbors will carve Owari like a festival carp.
Nobunaga's father, Oda Nobuhide, is no great lord, but he is a useful one. A raider, a spoiler, the sort of provincial war chief who can raise a few thousand ashigaru in a week, ride hard for a border town, and be back across the river before the enemy remembers his own name. He gambles constantly, on sieges, on marriages, on which uncle might kill which cousin first. From childhood, Nobunaga watches this choreography of risk. The lesson is clear. Survival isn't a gift. It's an act of theft, performed daily. In the inner courts of the Oda keep, plaster walls patched and lime-washed, beams smelling of smoke and soy. Young Nobunaga is a problem, reckless, disheveled. He trains obsessively one day and vanishes the next, running barefoot through the town with street boys, buying sweet rice cakes from vendors, listening to sailors at the wharf tell lies about China and storms. He learns the bow and spear and the hard grammar of the sword. He learns to ride until the horse becomes an extra set of nerves. But what he really learns is people, where fear lives in a man's eyes, where greed lives in his hands.
He would stare at a thing until it broke. Not with anger, with curiosity. Like a boy snapping a toy to see the gears inside.
1551. Summer. The air is thick with dragonflies. Oda Nobunaga, father, gambler, the only gravity in Nobunaga's sky, dies. The wake fills the great hall. Priests intone sutras. Retainers murmur. The eldest men of the branch families examine their fingernails and imagine futures where they pull the strings. Nobunaga enters late, bareheaded, wild hair, a simple kimono tied wrong. He shuffles up to the altar and, without a word, throws incense onto the floor. Gasps. A fan drops. Somewhere a child laughs and is elbowed into silence. The nickname is minted on the spot. Owari no Utsuke, the Fool of Owari.
The funeral incident is almost theatrical, deliberately outrageous. Whether pure grief or calculating signal, it brands Nobunaga as unpredictable. In Sengoku politics, the unknown quality can be terrifying. No one quite knows what he'll do next, and that uncertainty itself becomes a weapon.
His first test comes immediately. The Oda are a family in pieces. A half-brother, Nobuyuki, has friends among senior retainers. Certain uncles regard Nobunaga like a bad debt. In the markets and barracks, the same question is whispered. Can the fool rule? Nobunaga answers not with silk words, but with steel appointments. He moves quietly through the chain of command, replacing, reassigning, removing. Men who expected to be asked find themselves informed. He visits garrisons without warning, tasting rice from the pot, lifting lids with his own hand. Hot, dry, clean. He memorizes storehouse tallies like a monk memorizes sutras. He chooses lieutenants for ability, not pedigree. Men like Shibata Katsuie, a hammer in human form, and Akechi Mitsuhide, polished and careful. He trusts them, and he tests them.
You see the spine of his method here. Nobunaga is not yet the Demon King, but he's already the system builder. Logistics checked personally, tax yields tied to musters, promotions on merit. He dislikes the old aristocratic games because they slow him down.
He also writes letters, not the florid fare of noble courts, but orders with teeth. Short, cruelly clear. You will deliver rice. You will repair the bridge. You will present your eldest as a hostage. You will not fail.
He came himself. No palanquin, just a horse and 20 riders. He asked the harvest numbers and knew when we lied. When he left, the bridge had a new plan, and we had a new fear.
To the north lies Mino, where Saito Dosan, the Viper, rules by cunning and saltpeter. An oil merchant who climbed into armor, Dosan is exactly the sort of man Nobunaga respects and intends to surpass. A marriage is arranged. Dosan's daughter, Nohime, brilliant and unreadable, rides to Owari with a lacquered dowry and a pair of calculating eyes. The union is a rope across a canyon, thin, dangerous, and necessary.
Marriages in the Sengoku are supply lines of legitimacy. No Hime brings Mino into Nobunaga's map of possibilities. She also brings a father whose mind is a mirror of his own.
The wedding is a festival of flags, drums, lanterns. Actors yowl through masks, dancers stamp the dust into glitter. And then, when the guests are sleeping, Nobunaga slips away to the barracks to inventory spears, counting 1, 2, 3, until dawn finds him in the yard, sweating through spear drills with the lowest ashigaru.
The Lord practiced until his palms bled. When he missed a beat, he cursed himself. We decided then we would not miss for him.
Power measured isn't yet power used. That lesson arrives with betrayal, domestic and close. Nobunaga's half-brother Nobuyuki keeps bad company. Senior retainers who prefer a pliant lord with a pedigree to a dangerous lord with a vision. Plots curdle. Messaging goes sideways. A banquet is proposed in another castle. Music, sake, reconciliation. Nobunaga attends. With tactful smiles, with gifts, with the correct words. At midnight, the torches gutter, and the swords come out. When the smoke clears, there is only one Oda Lord in Owari.
This is the purge that sets the tone. Nobunaga will forgive a failure in battle faster than he will forgive an unclear chain of loyalty. Clarity is everything. If the bond is ambiguous, he breaks it decisively.
Outside the keep, the land is changing. The Portuguese have arrived at southern ports. Odd men in wool and iron, with a toy that spits thunder. The arquebus. Most lords sniff and stroll away. Gunpowder is messy, slow, unchivalrous. Nobunaga leans in. He buys in bulk. He hires smiths to copy locks and barrels. He drills peasants into gunners, teaching rhythm where once there was only fury.
He said, "A musket doesn't get tired. A musket doesn't panic. It only fails if you do." Then he made us load in the rain until we dreamed of powder.
He also rewires the economy that feeds his armies. The old guilds, Za, hoard monopolies like dragons. Nobunaga breaks them with rakuichi-rakuza, free markets in key castle towns. Merchants, those despised ladder climbers of the old world, find themselves protected under Oda banners. Caravans move faster, prices drop, tax receipts rise, armies eat.
He's not modern in the Western sense, but he is modern enough. He understands that war is logistics wearing armor. Free markets, safe roads, predictable rules. This is how you turn rice into steel.
Step by step, he tightens the weave. Roads patrolled, mileposts counted, bridges repaired with timetables, storehouses audited by surprise, retainer households mapped. How many mouths, how many men, how many spears actually sharp. He moves his seat from a cramped fort to a more commanding Kiyosu, then eyes the throat of the country, Kyoto. To reach it, he must first crack the Saito in Minno. But the Viper's coil is complicated. Dosan old and brilliant, his son Yoshitatsu young and lethal. Father and son circle with knives. Nobunaga reads their dance and learns the most important lesson a predator ever learns. It is often easier to kill a man through his relationships than through his armor. At night, in a lamplit room that smells of ink and smoke, Nobunaga arranges small stones on a map of central Japan. Owari, Minno. The Tokaido like a string of beads. He taps the stones with a finger. This ally is loyal for rice, that one for fear, that one for honor, dangerous. He moves the stones again, and the road to Kyoto begins to look less like a dream and more like a schedule.
Our ledgers fattened, our roads tamed. When Oda coin bore our names, we knew whose war we were funding and why he kept our children safe.
In the barracks, he visits at strange hours, asking a private about his mother's harvest, asking a sergeant how many arrows a quiver will truly hold in rain. When someone lies, he doesn't thunder. He stares until the truth comes out, and when it does, he nods once, as if a gear has clicked. The Fool of Owari is becoming something else, something without a good name yet. Then the horizon darkens. In the east, a storm gathers banners. Imagawa Yoshimoto marshals a grand army, tens of thousands, marching west toward Kyoto to restore the order, to tame the road, to make the dying shogunate breathe again. The road runs through Owari. Nobunaga can count. He knows how outnumbered he is. He also knows something the Imagawa do not. The weather, the gullies, the human heart. He begins to empty the storehouses, not to flee, but to move.
This is the moment before the cat leaps. He has restructured Owari so that when he does jump, his weight lands exactly where the enemy's balance is weakest. Numbers matter, but timing and geography matter more.
The day arrives heavy with heat. Clouds stack like mountains to the south. In the Imagawa camp, victory drums pound, sake sloshes, celebratory banners ripple. The commanders discuss which provinces to keep as souvenirs. And in Owari, a lord with a reputation for madness walks the palisade, counting heartbeats between lightning. He has exactly what he needs. 2,000 men who believe he can do impossible things. A storm that will blind the unwary. And a target who has already begun to celebrate. The ambush he plans at Okehazama will not just be a battle, it will be his announcement. The world still calls him the Fool. After this day, it will learn his true name. From a Fool of Owari to a lord with a plan, the road to Kyoto just got shorter and far more dangerous. On the next episode, thunder splits the summer sky at Okehazama as a river of steel meets a storm of audacity. Nobunaga rewires war with firearms and discipline, tears down old monopolies with rakuichi-rakuza, and strides into Kyoto to seat a puppet shogun. But the warrior monks of Mount Hiei chant defiance, and Nobunaga answers with fire. This is Shadows of Power. Consider subscribing, liking, and commenting on our videos. Your support helps us tell more of these stories.